Hello, beautiful seekers. Welcome to the Existential Shift. If you're new to my channel, my name is Morgainne. Pleasure to have you. And nice to meet you. Feel free, if you're watching this as a recording, feel free to say hi in the comments. Let me know which sign you are, where you're tuning in from. And if you're not watching this as a recording, feel free to say hi in the chat. If you're here live. Today is July 20th. It's actually my dad's birthday. He died when I was very young. So happy birthday to my dad, who would have been 65 today. His name was Igal, which in Hebrew means shall deliver or shall save. Something along those lines. Trying to translate Hebrew to English sometimes doesn't. Oh, let's let the train pass before I keep talking. Okay, I have Gali. But I'm gonna let the train pass. Okay, so I have Gali here with us. Welcome, good afternoon. Holly, hello, hello, hello. Oh, your mother passed Sunday. I'm so very sorry. I'm so very sorry for your loss. It's fresh for you. I'm really, really sorry. May she reincarnate in peace. And may you have peace. So what we're doing today is spiritual and life in general Q&A. So if you want a personal one, like the one Gali wrote, then you can book one, either live or a private one. I don't think I have a menu here, but generally speaking, it's possible, but generally when it comes to the questions for this live, it's general about life and spirituality, kind of can help the collective. So those are the ones who are obviously for free. But if you want like something specific about yourself to the tarot, for example, then you can book that and make a donation, and then you can ask that. Hello, Steffi. Welcome. Yeah, I can't read your name from the from your handler, but if your name is Steffi, then hi. How are you guys doing? How's your Sunday morning or afternoon, depending when where you're tuning in from? You're from Greek? Oh, that's so cool. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I think my sister and her soon-to-be husband are going to Greece for their honeymoon, which is very cool. Holly, sitting outside reading and watching my chickens and the wild birds. Oh, that sounds amazing. Where is that? Where do you, like... Where is that with your chickens? And Gali, if you want to book a reading now live to get an answer to your question, let me know and I'll post the link in the menu. Oh, in New York. Okay, cool. New York by a lake. That's amazing. That's awesome. What are the signs that I have in the house? Wine County. Oh, cool. So you're watching your chickens, reading a book, and drinking wine? It's the full moon in Capricorn tomorrow morning. It's either a culmination of something that is built, that has been built for a very long time, but like like the final woo-ha, and it's like a good thing, or it's like a breakdown. Can be either or. It gives you headache, but you love the farms. I get it. Hello, A-chan. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Happy Saturday. So, Steffi, you're Pisces with a Taurus ascendant and Libra moon. Ooh, I love that. Don't get too lost in your kindness now, huh? People don't appreciate it or even recognize it as much as it's worth. And Holly is a Capricorn with a Leo moon. But you can be very good at your jobs, anything you do. Actually, you put on a hat and you do it really well, Holly. All right, guys, I think we have enough people in the chat. If someone has a question, a general life question, a spiritual one, anything that can be helpful for you and for the collective, any topic you want me to discuss, you're welcome to ask. Hello, last time I saw you was when you had that incident back a few months ago. Good to see you still looking for every... I don't know which incident you're referring to, but sure. You don't need to mention it if it's something unpleasant. I love cooking and want to get involved with making medicine tea. Ooh, go for it. I love cooking too, and I like making medicinal stuff as well. A-chan, I had a question comment about your 144 video. Where is it? Where's the question and comment? It's interesting because every time I go live, you guys are talking to me about the 144 video, which is great. But then in contrast, it doesn't have many views. If you guys want to like watch the video and like, you know, share it, like it, comment on it, just to kind of help give it a boost, because it's a really important one. And I'm not sure why it's not like spreading as much as it could. So if you want to kind of give it some good energy boost and oomph and kind of lovingly push it forward, that would be great. A-chan, I'm bearing with you. Thank you. Namaste and good afternoon, Morgainne and fellow seekers. Namaste. Thank you, Edward, for joining. Thank you for being a channel moderator. Holly, will we have relief after this election or dread? I worry about women's and minority rights. Okay, I'm going to be direct with you. The dread, that what you're worried about is the dread that you're bringing to the table based on prejudice. If Trump wins, there won't be issues with minority and women's rights. There will be dealing with issues that people of all backgrounds, whether minorities or not, create in society. Goodness or badness are not associated with being a majority or a minority, or your racial background, or whatever the case may be. It's about the merit of a person and of the heart. That's what it's about. And when we're judged or expect to have people judged or treated by their group association instead of by their merit, individual merit, that's when prejudice happens, even if we allegedly do it in the name of the opposite of prejudice. So that's about that. So don't worry about people's rights. And that's from the way I see it, right? I think quite the opposite. I think people will have more of their rights honored in a collective way, as opposed to as a prejudice way under the guise of appearing non-prejudice, right? Virtue signaling is not virtue and causes a lot of harm for the greater good. Because in a way, you're serving the 1%. It's just a different 1% than you have in mind. Instead of the majority, it's just a different majority than what you have in mind. So if we perceive justice just based on what it is that we personally subjectively, or who personally and subjectively we care about, that's not really objective justice. It's just another perpetuation of subjective preference. You understand what I mean? As for general dread, this decade is going to continue being messy. The wars that have occurred during the past few years weren't necessary. They happened because of negligence of American leaders, by the way. So now this will need to be stopped and cleared. The bloodshed needs to be stopped, but it needs to be stopped appropriately, not with slogans and not with delusion, but with direct actions. And it's possible that it will happen, very likely actually, but it's not going to be an easy process. It's going to be a naturally painful one. Not saying this with joy, just with just with clarity, you know. It's still going to be somewhat messy this decade. There's a lot that is shifting, a lot, and a lot of gunk that is coming up to the surface that was festering and hiding beneath the surface that needs to be dealt with, needs to be acknowledged, and cleared. So, well, let me see what Holly said about this. Thank you. I see what you're saying. Great. You're welcome. Chan, ever since I was in middle school, I've seen couples that I knew were meant to be with each other. They didn't always plan out, but I could sense that energy. I was actually surprised when I realized in my mid-20s that most people didn't possess this skill of just sensing when two people were not meant to be with each other. Anyway, what would differentiate the 144 from common folk who are just standard soulmates or divine counterparts? Nothing. In my 144, I didn't discriminate between alleged 144 amongst us to everyone else. The 144 are the last souls that will be an integration of all the souls right before we get to back to unity with God. But right now we're all a fragmentation of the 144, seeking to connect with another fragmented aspect to combine back into our higher soul, and then little by little, from a lot of little fragmented pieces like a pyramid, going back to united, connected. Eventually we will be integrated back into 144 that will then be the closest to unity with the cosmic Buddha, Anima Mundi, you know, universal spirit, God, etc. But that will also be integrated into 72. So I think you want to watch my video again to get clarification, because if you got the sense that there's regular souls versus virtuous 144, that's not the case. What I'm saying is we all need to pursue true love as a divine priority. God is love, love is God, and that's the way back to God. And if there's an alleged illusion in our life where we need to so-called choose between God and love, then that's not God. That's the work of the devil. You know, it's an illusion. You can be with your true love and serve your faith, God, whatever the case may be, your divine purpose. And that is alignment. That is being in service of your higher self and of the cosmos. So if there's like, oh, what do I choose, God or love? It's an illusion. It's false. Go with love, because that will lead you to your true divine purpose or true God, which isn't necessarily contradictory to the God you're or faith that you're following now. Maybe it's just the way you translate the service of that God that is creating alleged dissonance or alleged having to choose, right? Yeah, so watch the one for. I, the majority of my 13th, actually every single one of my 13th element, I would recommend to watch more than once, if not even more than twice, because I tend to implement a lot of sub layers, and not necessarily on purpose, it's just what happens. And the first time we watch it, we hear the thing that we are ready for, that we're in alignment with. And then maybe you got stuck there. And then the second time we watch it, we are more open or able to recognize more layers of the messages. So definitely watch it again. Okay, we're all unique souls, and we all are on the path of true love. Okay. I hope this answers your question. Edward will try my best to moderate currently at work. Great. If anyone wants to help Edward moderate, that would be awesome. Thank you. Anyone has another question or a question about anything that I already said? Just so I don't forget, I already scheduled another live for Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, for personal questions live that you can book with the tarot. The menu is there. If you want to book it in advance and be on the QU, that would be great and super helpful. That way you'll be first in line, and we'll be able to start the live kind of rolling. So in case you can't afford a live session with me, privately, you'll still get to ask a question and get an in-depth answer, but in a relatively way more affordable price. And we'll just be here live, and the live will stay, so you'll be able to go back to it and see it. And I will take a photo of the spread and post it on Instagram so that you'll have the spread afterwards if you want. Yeah. Ramazan, marhaba, marhaba. If that's what you wrote. Welcome. HN, can true love exist beyond the confines of a divine counterpart? What are the ramifications of pursuing a romantic relationship outside this framework? So, watch my 13th element. I will say something about it, but if you want to go in depth, watch my 13th element. The T on something about the T on love, or the T on true love, or twin flames, soulmates, and karmics. I actually, at the end screen of the 144, I posted that video, where I really go into depth into different types of love. I also have another 13th element, how to differentiate between psychological love and spiritual or true love, something like that. Just, you know what, just type 13th element on my playlist. Scroll through my 13th element playlist and look for the ones that have to do with love. A lot of them talk about that. So it's all part of the journey there. So often we have karmic residue and karmic entanglements that play out in romance. So when we go through relationships, love connections that are mainly karmic, we resolve a lot of the karma. We detangle our blockages and challenges along our path of spiritual expansion and the path towards enlightenment. And those serve the journey of true love. So even if a love is temporary, first of all, everything is temporary. So if it's temporary, so if we assume that temporary means not real, then nothing is real because everything is temporary. So everything is temporary and everything is real. Temporary is not like automatically not real. You have a real connection, you have real love, you have real emotions. It leads to a true place where you get to learn about yourself, detangle karmic entanglements, and get yourself a step closer to being on a frequency that is in alignment with your true love. Does that make sense? So it's not wrong, it's in service. It becomes a detour and not in service when you stay stuck there. When you refuse to recognize, okay, lesson learned, relationship has reached its purpose. Now I'm in an abusive relationship, God forbid. Now I'm in a just repetitive cycle because I'm stuck or I'm trying to control or hold on to something. Then you're blocking. Then you're making a detour. Then you're creating even more karma and a challenge for yourself. Does that make sense? And you don't know what you don't know. We don't know something is karmic or temporary until it gets processed and resolved and released. At first it always feels very intense and very real, and that means we should go there because either it's divine counterpart, right, or it's a karmic thing to go through. But either way, the only way out is in. If it's a karmic thing to go through it. But to what is needed. Never stay in an abusive relationship. That's first and foremost, while calling it twin flames. I do not condone that. There are way too many creators and channels out there that perpetuate suffering and abusive or painful relationships, or just ones that are not working or are delusional or like one-sided in the name of twin flames. And that's terrible. That's taking advantage of your hearts. It's predatory. So yeah, be discerning. Edward, so many through life and turbulations they go through skew the pursuit of the true love for most, I feel. I hope souls nowadays don't undervalue the power of love compared to other emotions, but yes. Okay. Hey guys, this is the time to give this video a thumbs up. That would be great. Currently the statistics is 1 in 3 pressed the like. So let's make it 3 out of 3. Let's make it 100%. I'm here giving you 100%. There's karma to not reciprocating while you're indulging on something. Everything is a lesson to be learned, even if it sounds coercive. It was a little bit coercive. Chan, I just had my world flipped upside down a few years ago when I realized most people pursue relationships based on sexual dynamics and not love. I just thought the latter was a given. Those are not separate. Sexual attraction is one of the biggest, marks to love. Those are not separate. This whole separation of the two comes from shaming sexuality, shaming the divine feminine, shaming our own life force, shaming nature. Now, obviously, if it's just about the flesh and not about anything inside, then that's a different thing. But attraction and chemistry and desire are the first cue to, okay, there's someone here in front of me that I need to pay attention to, right? There's a connection there. That's the first sign. And it's not just the first and goes. It's an aspect, it's a continued aspect of it. So sexuality is an aspect of love, and it's a compass to love. Not, instead of looking at it as, oh, temptation, test, Mara, whatever you want to call it, it's nature serving us, helping us recognize the other, and sexuality is the thing that brings life, creates life, childbirth, family, like the last thing to be shamed or dismissed in this topic. And maybe that will help. You guys can ask me about anything. You can ask me about spirituality. You can ask me about psychology. You can ask me really anything. World events, geopolitics, whatever you want. Society. Chan, I agree with that. What I mean by sexual dynamics are the games, games and rules the two sexes are supposed to abide by. There's no rules people are supposed to abide by. Give people more credit. People abide by what they're truly drawn to and attracted to. Whether it's incorporated with mental belief of what it is that is right versus wrong or not, still it's right for them. For you, truth is to go outside the box. For another, truth would be being inside the box. Both outside the box and inside the box are real and legitimate. They both exist. The inside of the box is important, the outside of the box is important, and it's in service. And who says that theirs is a box and yours is the outside? Maybe yours is the box and theirs is the outside. It's relative. It's all a matter of what the majority confirms to, right? So if now the majority thinks that outside the box is the real freedom and sexuality, that becomes the box. And now the rebels are the ones who do what has been done or what they want to do regardless of what's popular. If you go with what is popular for sexuality amongst your circles, be them political circles or societal circles or cultural circles, whatever the case may be, because now that's what is considered unique and free and open, that's a box. Especially if you judge others who go by their specific nature. I didn't say nature as a whole, but their nature. This kind of connects to Holly's perspective of worrying about minorities' rights and women's rights. I care greatly about people and humanity and women and our rights. I'm not worried at all. Quite the opposite, especially if the Republicans win. Especially. I'll feel like they will be more served. And this is not about Republican or Democrat. I will flip a political group like that in a second. I don't treat it like a sports team where you go with them to the death. No, it depends on the candidates, it depends on the times, it depends on what they do, not just what they say. You gotta follow through with, did they actually do what they said that they'll do in their elections, right? Did they actually fulfill their promises? Or was it just populist, pretty words that they knew their followers wanted to hear? If anything, I've been worried about people's rights for the past few years greatly because they were demolished. There was a lot of demolishing of human rights under the guise of caring for human rights, aka communism. If that doesn't sound familiar, you gotta look into history, you gotta study history. Some Americans find socialism and communism, mostly communism, attractive because it's a great idea that sounds really good and loving in theory, but in reality, in actuality, it is exceptionally dangerous and oppressive. And this is proven time and time and time and time and time again for the past 2-3 centuries since communism and Marxism came to the world. It has caused the suffering and the oppression of millions of people worldwide. And in Western countries, people are they just don't know what oppression is. You guys think you know what oppression is. You refer to politicians you don't agree with as oppressors, when like you guys don't know what tyranny is. So words start to have a different meaning, and exaggerations and derogatory rhetorics start to occur over things that you're just disagreeing with, and that's privilege, you know. Read history, read what, or not just history, just jump to other countries on the globe, and see and recognize what actual oppression is, and then you'll have a better perspective of your own different leaders, those you agree with and those you don't agree with, and learn how to disagree without vilifying. And look at what people do as opposed to what as to what your friends tell you you need to think about what it is that they allegedly do. Every time I hear someone did this terrible thing that is oppressive to this and this group, I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible. Let me check. I go and I read the bill. I go and I check the law. I go and I see what was actually done. And I'm like, oh, that's not actually true. That's just propaganda. Cool. Don't let your narcissistic desire to be the good person make you the bad person. Check, verify, learn, be informed. For yourself, don't let someone tell you who to love. Don't let someone tell you who to hate. I never solidify an opinion about anybody based on something someone said to me, ever. And that someone can be the Pope, can be the Dalai Lama, I don't care. I will go and check for myself and develop my own opinion. I think women should have the right to abort, okay? They have the right to do so, but not at month 5, 6, 7, 8. Then it's murder. There's a middle path. So if the law says you can up until X months, that's not oppressive to me. Quite the opposite. That's sensible for both the woman and the child and the baby. It's not that they can't abort at all. Read the fine print. That's just one example out of many. Okay? And if a few years from now that will flip and that party will start acting mostly crazy, I mean, they all have a crazy in them, right? But mostly, right? I'll flip again. I'm not religious about the news channel that I watch. I always watch on both sides. If you watch only CNN, or if you watch only Fox News, or if you watch only BBC, you're propagated. You don't know what's going on. Especially if you watch BBC or MSNBC or like these channels that, you know, are very narcissistic and very manipulative. They tell you how good you are and how good they are while lying to you. It's terrifying. So, and again, someone in the comments will be like, oh, now I know that you're this type of political group. You want to put me in a box? That's your box. That's none of my business. I'm like sharp and clear. I look into things as they are, and I, you know, reach conclusions based on what they are. And then if those were to change, I will not be attached to it and hold on to it. Because yesterday they were doing something good. Well, maybe now it changed. So I keep track. Don't drown yourself in the wine of delusion. Oh, I'm the good person, and this group is the good group, and this group. So if something happens, if it's the other group, now the world collapses. Okay. Okay, can we get over ourselves, please? Um, Kavan, good song, The Circles of Your Mind, Dusty Springfield. Cool, thanks for the recommendation. Here in the UK, not many watch the BBC Big Brother Corporation. Oh, wow, that's so perfect. That is so fitting. Big Brother Corporation for the BBC. Yes. Sometimes I watch it and I'm like, it's like watching a sci-fi. It's like, what are you talking about? CNN are like now learning a little bit, improving. Jake Tapper is really, really good. Or Taper, how do you pronounce his name? I like him a lot. But there's still a lot of nonsense there. News Nation, I really like News Nation. That's something that I personally appreciate. You know, every time I watch it, it seems like, just from my experience so far, it seems like their reporting is actually in alignment with reality. What do you know? But again, guys, don't take my word for it. Don't be like, oh, Morgainne said. Watch yourself. Do your own due diligence and conclude yourself. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You know, I could be great. I could be full of it. You don't just practice that muscle of respecting, listening, being like, okay, I hear you. And then if you want to solidify an opinion, go and verify. If you don't, if you're not solidifying an opinion, if it goes from here and out from there, then that's fine. But if you're going to solidify an opinion, make sure it's based on merit. Anyone else have another question? And I hope I didn't offend anybody. You know, I said everything with love because I believe in you and your ability to discern through bullshit, both outside bullshit and both your own bullshit. The existential shift. How are we going to existentially shift without discerning through our own bullshit? I have bullshit. We all do. First, I recognize it. That's important. Anyone has a commentary on that or a different question? You're welcomed. If you have a personal question and you want to book one, let me know. It's possible. I just, you know, I aim, but then I'm also open. Okay, I'm going to give it 2 more minutes to see if anybody has a question. And if not, then not. I'll leave you to it. Today was fun because we went like to all the topics that no one wants to talk about. I agree, Kavan O'Brien. If it walks like a duck, if it looks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Although you never know. Check in with the duck. Be like, hey, duck, are you a duck? And see what ducky says. Give them a chance. Give them a chance to explain. Pluto, how do you think 2025 is going to be? It's going to be a combination of clearing the residue of absolute mess, finalizing it, and starting rebuilding. And it's going to completely, I feel like it's going to completely change. I think it depends. When it comes to the US, I think it depends on who wins. I'll be honest. Because I had hope for France, for example, but now not for the next few years, if at all. It has taken a terrifying turn. It had that moment, that crossroad to make a change, and it went farther down the path of destruction, unfortunately. I'm saying this with, unfortunately, and I don't enjoy saying this, but it did. And that could possibly have a domino effect on other countries who did make better choices. So it's going to be, I think Europe is going to be very wavy, very different. Some countries are going down the rabbit hole of absolute destruction, and they brought it upon themselves because of narcissism. Perceiving oneself to be good when it's absolutely the opposite, when it's just ignorant and destructive and pretentious, and refuses to learn from history. That's how vanity looks like. When you refuse to learn from others and from history, you are bound to repeat it. So, what can I say? But there are countries who made different choices. So I guess it's going to be like two waves in completely different directions, possibly colliding with one another. The US might tilt it here or there depending on who wins. And look, it's the US Pluto return, and we can see that there are other countries who are pursuing to be the powerful empire instead of the US, right? Russia, China, Iran, they want to be the ones with the power access. Now, if it was countries that respect human rights and have a desire, are operate from love, and I'm talking about their leadership especially, I'm not talking about every individual from those countries, okay? Then, okay, power dynamics change, empires change, that's okay. Someone else might be at the helm. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Currently, their leaderships are in a very dark place. And so it's a real crossroad. It's a real, it can tilt to either extreme. If it tilts to the side that honors human rights, then the shift to the next stage of evolution of awareness of consciousness of humanity will be less painful. If it doesn't, if it chips in the other direction, then the shift will still occur, but it will be a lot more painful and a lot harder, and it will take longer. I think the coming elections are pretty important, not just for 2025, but and I mean globally. And I know you can say that all the time, but specifically now, step outside of yourself and of your ideologies and think values after doing research, and look at things on a big picture scale. That's the best I can give you as an advice when it comes to what to vote. I'm not going to tell you what to vote. I will never do that. But just as like general guidance is how to go about it, maybe. Recognize that this is an important time. If the incident with Trump was real or fake, I don't go into these type of conspiracy theories. It looked very real to me. There was a lot of failures in the security, for sure, but it could have been a matter of budget. It could have been a matter of stupidity, human error. It didn't, from my humble position, watching it through the screen, you know, I don't presume to know everything, but did not seem like, definitely real. Definitely real. I also saw the footage of how he turned his head last second, which was the thing that saved his life for sure, because the aim was actually very accurate. He was with his head this way. The aim was right here. The aim was very accurate. Okay, and then this in the split second he turned his head like this, so instead of going here, it went here. So insane, but still looked very authentic. Yeah. Patrick, good morning, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Anyone else has a question or something to say? A comment maybe about something that I have said already? Or you need clarification about something that I said? If it wasn't clear? Kavan, you have a beautiful soul. Oh, thank you. We all have beautiful souls. Well, you too. Thank you. Credit belongs to God. Thoughts on Project 2025? I heard about it, but I didn't go into it, so I can't really comment on it properly. Whatever I'll say will just be, I don't know. So I appreciate the question. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm in a position to say too much. Not because I don't want to, it's because I don't think I know enough. I haven't gone into it. 900-page document. Have fun. I'll just watch what Ben Shapiro has to say about it. And others. No, I'm not. Until I understand, feel like I understand it, I'm not gonna make silly comments on it because I'm not in a position to do so. Kavan, she's very pure and honest. Oh, thank you guys. Merlin BT project plan 2030 and 2050. You know, there's so many projects. I don't know. They say that by 2030 or 2040, no, I think it's 2030, the ocean will be more plastic particles than ocean, which that to me sounds insane. And I hope it's not true, although I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. That's why I stop eating fish and support the fishing industry. These are not cute farmers feeding their indigenous native families and tribes. Whatever illusion you have on that, just here, it's burst. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that wrecks the ocean and kills dolphins and sharks and whatnot in the way, and whales. Okay, so if you're like, no, I'm eating fish because it's far, it's like they're villagers and that's how they live and it's beautiful. They work with Mother Nature. It's we're okay, Pocahontas. That's what you buy at the grocery store. That's what gets to your okay. That's cute. It's very cute. What are you talking about? We're head in the sand, out, plucked out, please, thank you. I wish. That would be nice. It's not the case. It's not what you buy. It's not what you eat. The milk that you drink from the cow is not from a farm, a little small dairy farm with one cow and her baby, and she feeds the baby first and I get the leftovers. No, no, no. The cow is abused. The baby is abused. Times billion. In an industry where they live in their own shit and are sick. And then they get sent to be a McDonald's burger. Because after 5 years of a cow constantly being forced pregnancy, giving birth one after the other 5 times straight, and constantly being separated, have her baby taken from her as soon as she gives birth to him, because we don't want the milk to get to her baby, God forbid, like nature intended it to. No, we want to have it like nature absolutely did not intend it to. We're the only mammal in nature that keeps consuming milk after the stage of infant, and it's not even our own milk. It's sick. It's sick. It's sick biologically, psychologically. Leave the animals be. Leave the cows be. It's not a happy cow like you see on the picture. She's not happy. That is the wine of delusion. The milk of delusion. So much pain. But we think it's a better industry somehow from the meat industry. We're like, oh, it's better than eating the cow. No, it's not. After 5 years, she collapses. She can't take it anymore. Even though cows can reach 20-year-old being 20 easy when it comes to their natural life capacity, but their expectancy is 5 years because their body just collapses from 5 pregnancy, one after the other, after forced pregnancy and the absolute terror of being constantly separated from your babies and then have the milk sucked from you with metal hoses. Watch Cowspiracy. If you haven't seen a cow screaming, calling, crying for her baby, you have not. I can't even. You gotta see it. You gotta do yourself a favor, do your soul a favor, and deal with it and see it, even if it's hard. You can't wake up while you insist on staying asleep. You know, especially when on the other side of it there's a sentient being that would never harm you. Never. Cows are like so. Yeah, so you want to be a Pocahontas? Go be a real Pocahontas, but don't be delusional in your head about the world being a Pocahontas and you're supporting their hard-earned work. It's hard-earned, right? But it's also torturous and horrid and not worth it. They should get a better job. Merlin, we are breathing plastic now. Hi, Maria. Welcome. Green Deal. Again, these are things that I'm, heard about, familiar with, but I feel like I haven't. Now, this is something that someone else will be like, oh, let me tell you what I think about it based on the same level of amount of knowledge that I have. I don't want to do that because I don't think it's enough. Here's the thing, though. Generally speaking, a lot of times leaders will take an idea that is important to the collective and that is important in general, right? That in and of itself, it's a good idea. It's an important idea. It has a good purpose. But then they'll use it to draw voters or draw support or draw power or draw money. Populism, right? They tell you what you want to hear. They do something that seemingly surface level is in service of that thing that we want to see happen, a good change in something. But then they use it to actually gain power and change rules. We saw it during COVID, right? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but also don't drink the bathwater. Okay, so recognize that the earth needs to be cared for and climate change need to be dealt, but also recognize when leaders use it in order to gain power over you. Now, if you recognize that a leader is using it something good to gain power over you, don't be like, okay, that something is also bad now because it's an association. Discern. Be like, okay, I recognize that we need to care for people who are getting sick, just not in this way. I recognize that we need to care for the planet, just not in this way. Okay, and that's just generally speaking. I'm not giving specific example for different deals and different projects because I'm not informed enough. Merlin, you're welcome. I really enjoy hanging out with you guys, I'll be honest. It's nice. Okay, I'll take one last question. We can make it about spirituality if you want. Again, whatever. If anyone has something, now would be the time. Also, if this was helpful, inspiring, even simply entertaining, you are more than welcome to reciprocate. The link to coffee is in the description, but also in the headline for the video. Kevin, the so-called leaders, I wouldn't allow them to run my bath, let alone a country. That's the first I hear of my bath. Maria, yes, it's true, but now everything is green and eco like never before. Yeah. I mean, some things are also an illusion. People recycle like it's a religion, and they're very adamant about it. And the intent is very good. You care about the planet. You care about lowering carbon footprint. Great. But most of recycling doesn't actually get recycled, bottom line, when it gets there. So most of it, I don't want to go into it, but it's the delusion. It's an illusion. You care about the planet truly, or do you care about telling yourself that you care about the planet and having people look at you like someone who cares about the planet, right? If you truly care about the planet, if you actually want it to get done, do things that actually affect the carbon blueprint. Don't eat meat. Don't eat dairy. Those are things that save incredible amount of energy to the planet, save water, save soil, save oxygen, save the ozone layer, just by deciding what it is you eat or don't eat. If you actually care, you would make the thing that is harder for you to do as opposed to the thing that is easier for you that makes you feel, check, did it, did it, did it, did it. No, you didn't. If you really do your due diligent research, you understand that you didn't actually. Bottom line, bottom line. It's like people who send money to charities and tell themselves, oh, I'm charitable, I did it. But those charities are actually never get to the people it claims to deliver it to, and it actually goes to corrupt organizations and even terror organizations that end up using that money to kill people. And if the bottom line is you paid money for someone else to take someone else's life by telling yourself you paid money to help a life, I can't, like the level of delusion and corruption, inner corruption, like you do not care. You just care about, writing it off in your taxes and telling your friends that you gave to this and that charity. It's repulsing. Check where it goes. Go to that place and feed the children, okay? You care about starving children? Go to Yemen and feed the starving children, the children who are actually in famine. Don't send money for allegedly starving children, but you kind of know it gets to terror organizations that end up killing other children. Who are you fooling? You're only fooling your silly circle that is uneducated. But people who are educated, you'll never break into those circles because they see right through that nonsense. Everyone can make a commercial, a populist propagandist commercial on YouTube, be like, this is where your money will go. It's fraudulent. And I would say that they're taking advantage of your good heart, but at this point, everyone already knows better. It's good to give, but make sure it's actually going to who it is you're giving to. It's good to care about the planet. Make sure it's actually resulting in, doing good for the planet. What works? What's the bottom line? What's the bottom line? The bottom line also matters. Not intent matters, yes, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's not the only thing that matters. It's part of the equation. It's not the full equation. Okay. Patrick, I was wondering what your thoughts on the astral realm being a 3D experience only, and another frequency having another astral realm. I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you phrase it in a way that is more clear, please, Patrick? I can recognize that you're asking about the astral realm in relation to the 3D, but I'm not sure exactly that I understand the question itself. Are you asking the astral realm being not really a separate realm, but a 3D experience on another frequency? You're saying the same thing in different ways. It's the same thing. All the dimensions are seemingly separate, but also the same, happening simultaneously at once in the same place, you might want to say, but on different dimensions. So for example, there's me and then there's a dog in the room. And then there's a sound that only the dog can hear because only they have that hearing. So we're both in the same room, but the dog can hear something that I can't hear. The sound is in the room. I just don't have the physical, biological capacity to have my brain translate it into a sound. It's too high frequency, too high pitch for me to capture. The dog captures it. It's kind of like being psychic. You pick up on things that are there that others don't pick up on, but they are there. So to those who don't pick up on it, to me who can't hear what the dog hears, it's super quiet. There are no noises, but the dog is like, you know? And the dog is not wrong. I'm not wrong for experiencing quiet. I am experiencing quiet, but it's not the full reality of the room. Okay? So the astral realm is in the 3D, but we don't grasp it. And sometimes we need to go to sleep so our mechanisms are down and our soul, our spirit is more open in order to experience that astral realm. So the astral realm, it's not, okay, it's kind of like the branches of the tree are tall and far away from you and you can't reach it. So it's like in a different space, it's out of your reach, but you can still, it's still there, you know it's there, it's just right here above you. And if you make the effort and climb the tree, you'll get there. But it's not that you transitioned into a whole other separate dimension, it's just you manage to get into an aspect of reality that is there. So the separation of dimensions is basically a fragmentation, an illusional fragmentation of just one big cosmic existence. Space is seemingly outside of us and seemingly outside the ozone layer, but we're 99% empty space. We're just 1% atoms. Did you know that? Just 1% of our existence is atoms. 99% is literally empty space. Like the distance, if this was a baseball field, the distance between the ball being in the center of the field to the last row of the audience at the baseball field, that's a huge distance. Just for comparison, to have like proportions, that is the distance between within an atom, between the nucleus, the center of the atom, and the electrons that surround it. An electron makes a molecule that makes a cell. So we are just in that distance within the atom that we're made of, between the center of it, the nucleus, and the electrons that surround. That's the ratio of empty space. That space between that baseball in the center of the field and the last row of the field. That's the ratio. So space is outside of us, but it's also inside of it. We just can't grasp it. We can't comprehend it. And yet, so it's all multiple separate dimensions, but it's also all one same dimension, depending on what your level of ability to grasp. I hope this answered your question. If you could add an element to the periodic table, what would you call it? Minus surprise, the element. I would not add an element to the periodic table. I think it's, there's a perfect equilibrium there. Maybe we will discover that there's another element, but I myself wouldn't try to add one and tilt the divine equilibrium, if that makes sense. I personally wouldn't go there. But that's me, you know. There's enough to explore in this, in what we have in the cosmos, than trying to make up other aspects of the cosmos that we still haven't figured out or fully gained understanding of. Your British humor. Guys, I'm here to answer questions, so I'm taking your questions seriously. I would really appreciate it if you didn't disrespect that. Laura, hi Leola, biker or motel? Huh? Motek. Okay, hi. Hi, Motek. Welcome, Leola. Thank you for joining. Okay, guys, I think we had a good run. Unless someone has a question in their head right now, type it in quickly. Patrick, right, guess I'm trying to make sense out of our spirit being allowed to travel through our now reality into another 3D experience as real as this reality. It wasn't by for on my part. It was, I don't understand. I'm sorry. You guys need to understand that I'm human, and when I'm trying to read you, I'm not like, use commas, use points, read before you press send so that I understand you. Like, Leo, I've had to totally simplify. I basically only have patience for meditation, organization, and animals. I love that. I kind of feel the same. I love that. Boker Tov. I kind of feel the same. I don't know so much about the organization part, but I've been really improving with my meditation. I have an altar now, and it's been very helpful. You look lovely. Someone tried to beat me up on the Capricorn full moon. Oh no. Are you okay? I'm sorry that that happened to you. It's not yet the full moon. Now it is almost, and tomorrow morning, but I get what you're saying. I'm really sorry that that happened to you, and I hope you're okay, and I'm sending you merit. All right, guys, I think we're good. I'm gonna go eat. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Stay magic, stay true. And oh, you know what I forgot to do actually? Ooh, I forgot to do something. Because I want this video to direct you to the next live so that you could press the bell button and so that you don't forget to join. There's another live on Monday. Where is it? Customization. There we go, redirect. There it is. Okay. Here's the thing, Leo, it's not just 2 candidates running, it's 3 candidates. Just the media doesn't show it to you enough. RFK is also running. You have the third option, you have the third path, you have the middle way. It's just, there's a screen put on you. Open the curtain. You know, there's actually is a third candidate. It's just the media is perpetuating the red versus blue. There's a purple. There is. So you do have another option. Okay. Stay magic, stay true. I love you guys. Stay cool.